Check it out, Pipsqueaks. Live from the castle, it's a real unicorn and earth pony. I know, right? This is so not a filter.
Lame.
For the content.
Remember when the most polarizing thing this series did was turning the ponies into humans? Hello everyone, it's me, your average bonehead, Jay. And I don't think I can really put into perspective just how much of a cultural impact My Little Pony Friendship is Magic really was. The idea of taking a series primarily marketed towards little girls and creating a show that had actual characters and overarching stories that can be enjoyed by everyone was definitely one of the better ideas Hasbro's ever made. And after the ending of season 3, it was about time for this generation to get a movie. And that movie would be about the ponies being human teenage girls in a high school. What? Yeah, this movie, titled My Little Pony Equestria Girls, was definitely met with a lot of flack from fans when it first came out. For, to be fair, obvious reasons. But as time went on, people started to warm up to this movie and the Equestria Girls spin-off series that it spawned, as it gained a fandom big enough to be upset when this spin-off series didn't get a proper conclusion before this abomination happened. So I, as someone who's still kind of new to this fandom, is here to look back at this nearly 11-year-old movie. Oh, my back! And see whether it was the hatred for this movie or the hype for this spin-off that was overblown. So without further ado, let's take a look at My Little Pony Equestria Girls. Our story begins introducing us to our main 6 ponies: Rarity, Fluttershy, Pinkie Pie, Applejack, Rainbow Dash, and the newly crowned Princess of Friendship, Twilight Sparkle, as well as her baby dragon, Spike, as they all arrive at the Crystal Empire for a celebration, as this takes place right after the events of Season 3, where Twilight just became an Alicorn princess.
Haven't really gotten accustomed to these yet, either.
Of course, that means you have to ignore the final shot of the Season 3 finale, and by God they do it. They end up meeting the princesses of the Sun and Moon, Celestia and Luna, as well as the Princess of Love, Cadence, who is also Twilight's sister-in-law, except Shining Armor doesn't appear anywhere in this movie. And then they all go to bed. After our title sequence set to an extended remix of the opening theme, we then finally get to the actual plot. That night, a unicorn named Sunset Shimmer sneaks into the castle via an interdimensional magical mirror and tries to steal Twilight's crown, which is also one of the 6 elements of harmony, the element of magic. Twilight gives chase and we get a short scuffle, but the crown is ultimately flung into the magical mirror, and Sunset Shimmer ends up going in after it. The next day, Celestia and Luna explains to the others who Sunset Shimmer was, and the fact that this mirror leads to another world, and if Twilight isn't successful in getting her crown back before the end of the 3rd day, she'll be locked in that world for another 30 moons. And to make things even worse, she has to do it alone, as her friends cannot go with her for reasons the series will break later down the line. So Twilight goes through the mirror with Spike quickly following behind her, and the two are teleported to this alternate world and transformed along the way. Spike is turned into a dog, but more importantly, Twilight is turned into one of the worst creatures ever. A human! Actually, they never truly referred to themselves in this world as humans, and I think that was because Hasbro was busy dodging the ultimate bullet known as... In what I consider to be a brilliant move, all of the humans in this world retain the same skin and hair color as their pony counterparts. I think this just helps to make things infinitely easier to deal with. But on top of that, while we're on the designs of these characters, let's talk about their designs. I personally think every pony in this has a near perfect design. They all pretty much look exactly how I would imagine they would look in human form, just retaining their pony colors. All their clothing helps show off their personalities flawlessly in my eyes. However, I'm not really a fan of Spike being a dog and not just another kid, because now he's literally getting the short end of the stick. But on top of that, the animation in this movie, I'm gonna be honest, ain't really the best. The characters move pretty stiffly. You could tell they clearly weren't as experienced of animating humans opposed to ponies. However, the characters still managed to be as expressive as ever. And one more thing before we truly get back to the plot, I find it interesting that they actually aged the characters down into teenagers in the human world. Yeah, as ponies, our characters are all adults in their 20s, but as humans, they're all in high school. I guess, much like with Spike being a dog, this was done for marketing reasons. Though characters who were clearly adults, or their occupation hinged on them being adults, like Cheerly, the Cakes, or Granny Smith, remained their regular ages, and the usually immortal beings of Celestia and Luna were just made into regular adults as well. It just brings up questions about aging in this world that you really don't want to have to be bringing up. Anyways, Twilight learns that she's going to have to be walking with 2 legs in this world, and while trying to avoid the school crowd, she ends up bumping into Pointless the character, or to go by his true name, Flash Sentry. Though Pointless the character is a better sum up of who he is, yeah, you could tell they were trying to do a little romance thing with these two in this movie, and even hinting at it a bit in the actual show, but after season 4 in the second movie, this character just disappears. Though that's not gonna stop me. Someone's gotta keep the ship alive. Anyways, we're about 12 minutes in, it's about time we get our first song.
Getting on my feet, it's the hand that I was dealt, but I don't have much time with them, got to learn all that I can.
Yeah, my last major criticism with this movie is that while the songs, like most My Little Pony songs, are great, the spacing of them ain't. Yeah, it takes us 12 minutes before we get to our first song, then the rest of the movie is kind of silent until we get to the second half, and the movie just backlogs us with a bunch of songs back to back. I feel like maybe they could have given Sunset Shimmer a villain song to balance things out, considering how she doesn't even sing throughout this movie. But oh well, at least they are good songs. And this one in particular basically sums up what this whole movie is.
Everything's confusing when it seems so new, but I look a little closer and it starts to feel familiar too.
This whole movie is basically a fish out of water or pony out the field story for Twilight, as she has to learn how to adapt to this new world if she wants any chances of getting her crown back. But honestly though, I don't mind this to be the plot of the movie. I also don't mind how many parallels this movie has to season 1, as the whole thing kinda ends up making it feel like sort of a victory lap of the series. The first and most obvious parallel is when Twilight ends up meeting this world's Fluttershy, as it's basically a line-for-line remake of their original meeting.
I'm Fluttershy. Sorry, what was that?
I'm Fluttershy. I'm sorry, what was that?
It's Fluttershy.
My name is Fluttershy.
And again, on a side note, with her now basically being the face of the Equestria Girls spin-off series, I almost forgot there was a time where Sunset Shimmer was legitimately evil.
You really are pathetic. It's no wonder your best friends are all stray animals.
Yeah, nowadays she's very nice, albeit having some slight anger issues, but in this movie she is legitimately evil.
I can speak to anyone any way I want.
It is jarring, to say the least. Fluttershy ends up telling Twilight that Principal Celestia would have the crown, and when Twilight goes to see her, she ends up managing to trick the person who should be in charge of everything into believing that she's a student so Celestia wouldn't get suspicious. Celestia also states that Vice Principal Luna hid the crown away somewhere so no one can find it, as they're not aware that it's not from their world. Also, this is a completely side tangent, but considering what happened to Luna in Equestria, I like to believe that human Luna was a bad girl who ended up getting herself arrested, and Celestia had to pay for her bail, with the only stipulation being that Luna has to be the vice principal at the school. There is nothing at all that ever hints at that. I just think it's funny. Celestia ends up telling Twilight that the crown will be given to the princess of the fall formal, the celebration just so happening to take place on the last day that Twilight has here. And Twilight decides that this is how she's gonna get her crown back, as she's fully aware of how insane it would sound to try and explain to them that she is actually a magical pony princess from another dimension. And then she learns from Fluttershy that the person she needs to talk to in order to sign up to be nominated for Princess is the one person where the laws of physics do not apply to them. If only. No, the other one, Pinkie Pie.
Are you psychic? No. Unless, of course, that's something you can do here. Not usually.
And I love how Pinkie doesn't seem to care how weird it is that Twilight doesn't seem to know how to write. That's relatively in character for her. But also at the same time we are introduced to Applejack. And we learn through her that Sunset Shimmer has basically divided the whole school. And on top of that, that the human versions of the main 6 aren't even friends. Yeah, Pinkie and Fluttershy are at each other's throats, and even worse for my shipping heart, Applejack and Rainbow Dash haven't spoken to each other in a while.
About the only girl at this school you can trust less than Sunset Shimmer is Rainbow Dash.
Oh no! Our
Oh, it makes sense. Most relationships go through rough patches before they come back even stronger. Also, this scene sets up this world's Twilight, who we don't properly get introduced to until the third one.
Do you have a twin sister who lives in the city, has a pet dog named Spike that looks just like that one?
Which is funny because this movie also sets up Cadence, who we don't see her human form until the third one. After Twilight leaves, Sunset Shimmer comes in with her posse for the movie, Snips and Snails. These two idiots just have a habit of working for clearly untrustworthy people, and she ends up putting two and two together and ends up realizing that the person that looks like the pony she stole the crown from is the pony she stole the crown from.
Where is this Twilight sparkle?
After some light intimidation, she orders Snips and Snails to get some dirt on Twilight so there'd be no possible way she'd be elected as princess. But before we get that, we get a cameo from
The great and powerful Trixie!
I'm so happy they chose to include her. Twilight ends up finding the library, and after learning how technology works by violently testing Cheerly's patience, we get a brief cameo from the CMC, Apple Bloom, Sweetie Belle, and Scootaloo. Which, two things. One, their human counterparts clearly seem to be older than their pony counterparts, but more importantly, two, what are they trying to accomplish in this world? In Equestria, the three of them are trying to earn their cutie marks, but that's not a thing in the human world, so I'm at a loss.
Funniest thing I've ever seen? Funniest thing they've ever seen, huh? I don't know that that's what you should take from...
We then get a scene of Twilight once again trying and failing to understand how things in this world work, but this time Snips and Snails were recording everything. Later that night though, since Twilight has nowhere really to go, her and Spike stay in the library, I guess because this school has no security, and they end up learning that this world's version of their friends used to be friends. But as we can all tell, Sunset Shimmer has obviously split them all apart. For reasons I don't think I really understand, but who cares. The next day, we are introduced to this world's Rarity, as she generously tries to disguise Twilight so no one could recognize her, because as it turns out, Snips and Snails had a field day with After Effects last night, and they posted a video of their recordings that makes Twilight look like an idiot. Luckily, our main girls are willing to help her, but unfortunately, they still all can't get along. But it doesn't take long for Twilight to get them to open their eyes and realize they were being played by Sunset Shimmer. Well, that was easy. But at the same time, Applejack still isn't really ready to make up with her ex, Rainbow Dash, until they finally go and talk things out. Again, that was easy. But before Rainbow Dash can help out Twilight, Twilight has to beat her in a game of soccer. And obviously, with Twilight having the ultimate disadvantage, she of course loses. But it doesn't matter because Rainbow Dash is still more than willing to help out anyways.
I'm not gonna help just anybody try and beat Sunset Shimmer. The fall formal princess should be someone with heart and determination. You proved that you got them both.
So the whole gang's back together, but it seems like Sunset Shimmer and Snips and Snails seems to have some evil plan up their sleeves. Later, we get another decently cute scene between Twilight and Pointless the character. They really should have done something with these two, as we see that our main six are trying to figure out a way to get everyone to actually vote for Twilight.
I've got it!
But then Rarity gets the idea to remind the school of its spirit that it once lost. And how do they do that? Through the miracle of song and dance. As we finally get our next song sequence, which is, okay, yeah, the best song in the movie. This is also just one of my favorite songs in the whole series because it's just so dang catchy.
Generous honesty, laughter, kindness, loyalty. Twilight helped us each to see all that we can be.
And on top of that, the animation's actually pretty fluid here. It really does seem like they're building up the budget just for this one scene.
I'm gonna be myself, no matter what I do. And if we're different, yeah, I want you to be true to you.
So as one would expect, it of course worked, and now everyone is on Twilight's side. Unfortunately, all the party decorations have been destroyed by Twilight. At least, that's what the pictures given to Vice Principal Luna from Sunset Shimmer says. And before Luna, who even in human form is still the better of the two sisters, can remove Twilight from the ballot, Pointless the character comes in and clears Twilight's name. So everything seems to be fine now, though there is still one more problem. Due to the fact that all the decorations were still destroyed, the fall formal will have to be postponed till after the portal closes. So with no other option, Spike suggests that Twilight tells the truth to her friends about who she truly is, and right before she does, Pinkie Pie correctly guesses the plot of the movie.
You're from an alternate world and when you're a pony princess there, and the crown actually has a magical element embedded in it that helps power up other magical elements, and without it, they don't work anymore, and you need them to help protect your magical world. And if you don't get the crown tonight, you'll be stuck in this world, and you won't be able to get back for like a really, really long time.
And boom, I'm just tanking the copyright with that one. Of course, these teenage girls take the fact that the statue right outside their school also doubles as a portal to an alternate universe inhabited by sentient ponies who happen to look, act, and sound exactly like them, and that one of its princesses is here to retrieve her missing crown that is also an ancient artifact that was stolen in an act of interdimensional sabotage surprisingly well, and are willing to help Twilight and Spike set back up the celebrations so the fall formal will proceed as planned. We get our next song sequence, as well as the rest of the school helping them out, truly uniting them all.
Fix it up, yeah, it's alright. We'll get it ready by tonight.
With everyone's help, Luna and the lesser one tell everyone that the fall formal is back on, and of course they all vote for Twilight. Our main six go back to get ready in a clothing montage, set to another song sequence. I told you this movie is backlogged with them. As it's finally time for the school dance. And Twilight also accepts Pointless the character, okay, I'll call him by his actual name, Flash Sentry's invite to go with him to the dance. Of course, Twilight wins her crown back, but Snips and Snails ends up kidnapping Spike, and Sunset Shimmer threatens to destroy the portal, even though I'm pretty sure that Hammer would just go through it, but who cares? Of course, Twilight calls Sunset Shimmer out on her bluff, as they both equally need the portal to get back home. So they end up playing hot potato with the crown, until Sunset Shimmer finally gets her hands on it, and turns herself, as well as Snips and Snails, into demons, and then mind controls all the other students. She tries to finish off the main six, but even with the magical powers of one of the elements of harmony, the magic of friendship is still the strongest type of magic there is, and our main six gets cool and marketable transformations. Though I will admit, it was a complete missed opportunity to not give Twilight and Rarity their horns. You give Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy their wings, but you don't give these two their horns? They kind of just look weird without them, actually. And of course, using the magic of friendship, they eviscerate Sunset Shimmer. Of course, she's still alive, and Twilight and her friends obviously forgive her. Though as we end up seeing in the next movie, everyone else still hasn't. And on a side note, I actually do like how it takes till basically the third movie for Sunset Shimmer to go through a full redemption arc. It shows that she actually had to try to improve herself in order to get everyone to actually trust and genuinely like her again. I don't know, I just think her redemption arc is a good message about self-improvement. And even though the portal will be closing soon, there's still just enough time for one more song and dance, and we even get this cute little moment with Rainbow Dash and Scootaloo, totally making up for the fact that Scootaloo was the only member of the Cutie Mark Crusaders who didn't say a single line of dialogue throughout this entire movie. Rip Scootaloo fans. And I also love the fact that they keep with the continuity that in any world, in any form, Twilight cannot dance. But after a long night of fun, it's finally time for Twilight and Spike to head back home to Equestria, though they leave Sunset Shimmer behind in this world so she can reform, as the two of them finally return home to their friends in Equestria. Upon leaving, the portal closes behind them, and her newfound friends go back to normal. Back in Equestria, Twilight promises to eventually tell everyone what happened, but then she ends up bumping into the pony version of Flash Sentry.
Do you know him?
Not exactly.
Ooh, some pony's got a crush on the new guy.
No, I don't.
Good thing he'll only appear 2 more times in the show before they forget about his existence altogether. God damn it, I guess I really can go back to calling him Pointless the character. And then Pinkie Pie guesses the plot of the movie.
Totally reminds you of a guy you met in the other world who played guitar and was in a band and helped prove he didn't destroy all the decorations for a big dance so you could still run for princess of the big dance and then asked you to dance at that dance?
I don't really trust her knowing all this stuff. I've seen what happens when she gets too happy. Do I get a cupcake for referencing them? And the movie ends on that note. It's okay. Better than Magic Railroad. My Little Pony Equestria Girls is kinda silly in concept, and it does have a few storytelling flaws, and there are some pointless things in hindsight. But overall, I think the movie's okay. It kind of feels like a victory lap for the first 3 seasons, while still managing to stand on its own, and I do appreciate it for that. And if you look at it as the beginning for this spin-off, I think it's actually pretty great, being a nice way to introduce us to this version of the world and characters. As, once again, I actually do like the Equestria Girls spin-off series. No matter what you think about it, it's better than the shit being pumped out nowadays.
This shit look nasty as
My Little Pony Friendship is Magic is actually a really great series. I even considered it to be a modern Thomas, a show for a slightly younger audience that doesn't play down to said younger audience. And while this movie doesn't 100% capture that, it still captures it enough. And besides, these movies only just get better and better. So, on its own, it's an okay movie, but for the spin-off it spawned, I think it's really good, and I think it works well of being the first movie for Generation 4. So take that for what you will. Overall though, I consider this movie to be good. And honestly, great even now. I'm your average bonehead Jay, and I wish you all good night. Oh, you're still here. Well, since you stuck around for this long, you might as well like and subscribe, comment if you're feeling really daring. And while you're at it, you might as well follow me on Twitter and Instagram at jayskeletyn, links down below. And if you just want to see more, you can check out the playlists or look at my last video. Now thanks for watching, and if you need me, I'm going back to bed